Hello, welcome back to CodeDroid Chess. In my last video, I shared with you my goal of 1700, 1800, 1900, 2000, and I have achieved it besides Blitz, which is giving me trouble right now. Um, but I did just win a classical game I want to share with you because I think it was pretty clean. There was one moment where I made a mistake, but all right, let's get into it. D4 if I'm trying to win, right? I'm 1992 trying to get the 2000, so I go D4 with white, and I'm surprised I got to play as white in all these games. I haven't had to be black in a while. But when he plays this, I play C4, take the center, and now he starts to play the King's Indian defense. And that allows me to play this move, fighting for this square, and then when he fianchettos, I play e4, and now I have a big center, and he's close to castling on this side. Sometimes you launch an attack with the h-pawn and go after him. I think that's the best way to play objectively, or like on a super high level, but I don't know how to do that. I haven't done a lot of research on that, so I know you're supposed to be aggressive against it. People kill me all the time when I try to do this with black. So, but anyway, I'm just like I'm just gonna take a big center and go from there. And then in this position after here, those moves are all easy to see. And now I'm thinking, should I play h3 to prevent his bishop pinning? Because sometimes if I put my knight here and he pins like so, people love to do this. This square is hit by the bishop. It's defended by the knight and the queen, but the knight and the queen are both tied down by this bishop. Because if bishop ever takes knight, my queen wants to take back to prevent a damaging of my structure. And then this pawn is hanging, or super weak. So, but I just decided I'm going to bait him into this and play h3, because in this position, his bishop can't go back and maintain pressure like Einstein. If you've ever seen his game with Oppenheimer, he'll bring his bishop out, and then when you play h3, he'll bring it back, and then he'll tuck it on here, and he does it with white. But that's a very common maneuver, but here it doesn't work because he's fianchettoed this bishop, so this bishop doesn't have the opportunity to retreat. So it has to either retreat in this direction, saying I shouldn't have come out this far, or give itself up for the knight, which he does. And now I have the luxury of queen takes because the knight is blocking the bishop from taking this pawn, and there's no good knight move. I will have time to play bishop protecting this pawn, and the knight won't be able to attack my bishop because this square is protected by h3, and this square is protected by the pawns. So, but he immediately lashes out. Now in this position, I really like my position, and here I was considering d5 because the bishop on g7 is his most powerful important piece besides the queen and the rooks, I guess, but like this is the most important piece to mitigate, okay, because his whole strategy depends on this bishop here. So one strategy is to try to trade bishops. Another strategy is just to, if I play d5 here, his bishop will have trouble getting into the game. But I'm like, you know what? So I will also have trouble. And I can just, if I take here, there's no attractive way for him to recapture. Like if he had a knight developed, and taking here would be stupid because he would play knight takes and I hit my queen and this pawn, and it's just a centralized knight. That's stupid. But because the knight's not there, I just decide to take because he has no good option other than to take back. And now I can develop my bishop, pin his knight, and so I would say I'm thinking at least, like when I play this move, I already knew he was gonna play that, knew I could play that, and knew he could play this, and knew I could play that. So I would say I think when I make this move, I have already thought 1, 2, 3, 4 moves ahead. Even 5, because I'm thinking about where the knight's gonna go. So you think about 5 moves ahead at this level. Then when I pin his knight, Now the threat is rook develops and hits the queen and claims this massive center advantage. And I can even play knight d5 and pin on the. Sometimes the bishop fianchettoed really is a bad defender of this knight because the bishop would prefer to be here to break the pin with the queen. Whereas when it's over here, now the knight can't move, and this knight can hop up and attack it. Anyway, so he reinforces his weak knight, but then I pin his knight reinforcement to his queen. So now none of my pieces are in danger, but he has a queen getting attacked by a bishop, knight getting attacked by a bishop and queen with knight d5 on the cards. So then he plays this. He's no slouch. I mean, he sees my plan. He's trying to prevent the knight coming in. So in this position, he's successfully defended. He's in an awkward position, but I have no attack, so I just develop my bishop, getting ready to castle. Because I'm trying to be responsible in this game. I have the highest percentage of winning when I don't go for something crazy like a sacrifice attack. Although it's fun to do that sometimes. So here, this is a huge moment. He asks a question to my bishop before he castles, and he's like, where are you going to go? If I take the knight, he has bishop takes or queen takes. He doesn't have knight takes because rook takes queen. But the advantage I have in this position is the bishop pair. And I was thinking about dropping my bishop back because it maintains the pin. But the pin is not that important because I'm never going to get to play knight d5 because he's permanently blocking that square. And I just don't have enough ammo to attack this knight. So maintaining this pin is useless because then he gets in g4 and I have to go back again. And then he can get in, then he can move the knight because he's broken the pin. And then the knight can come into f4 and I would have to give up my bishop for it because it's too powerful there. Also, his pawns and rook are coming down. He might play queen c7, castle queen side. And I'm already telegraphing that I can only castle king side. And if I castle king side into a pawn storm, it's not good for me. So instead I go all the way back. Now, I looked at the computer. Computer likes bishop e3. And I think I thought about bishop e3. It's definitely not a bad move. But the reason I like bishop c1 is I almost win every game I play a move like this. If I can develop the rook and then the bishop behind the rook in a way that it doesn't interfere with the connecting of rooks, I almost always win my games like that. Because if I have a bishop pair and he doesn't, I can redistribute this guy whenever I want, and he's effective at long range. He's not a bad piece back here. And you'll see that. He becomes extremely important. So this queen c7, now he can castle either way. And I castle kingside, he castles kingside, and one of the ideas is to team up the queen and the bishop to attack this pawn that is out here, and sometimes the king has to come defend it because the bishop is not a good enough defender of that. However, I don't want to go for, in that variation, maybe you just win a pawn, but I'm dominating the center. Like all these squares in the middle I control with the rook, and all these I control with the bishop. In this position, I decide to develop this guy, and I play this move. And another reason why I played bishop all the way back is because I was anticipating if I hadn't, I guess, okay, I didn't see that. I was anticipating him developing queen to b6, which attacks my only weakness, which is the b2 pawn, and it's awkward for me to defend because my queen's not in position, and that would be annoying to defend. So anyway, I bring the bishop all the way back. I could have brought it to here, preventing the queen from attacking that. Now I see the point of that move. But he goes here, then I castle, he castles, and then I play this move because I'm thinking this bishop is never going to hit my knight because his own pawn's in his way. His position is blocked by his own pawn, whereas mine isn't because I can use whichever bishop I feel like, depending on my pawns. He has to have a dark square bishop be effective, and it can't be because it's blocked by his own pawn. So I develop my bishop in the other direction. And this move weakens the dark squares, but I have my dark square bishop here, so it's fine. And it weakens the knight, but my queen defends my knight. And these types of understandings are really important. Like, I wouldn't play that move if I didn't have a dark square bishop close by and a queen defending the knight. Otherwise, the knight would be a tactical liability. Okay, so now he develops his rook, and he has a pretty decent position. It's a pretty good game. And then I play my idea, which is I could play bishop b7, but then again, I'm just attacking a pawn that he's already defending, and I want him to be defending this pawn and none of my pieces to care, and none of them are attacking that. So he's got 1, 2, 3 defenders, maybe 4 on this pawn, and I'm never even going to think about taking it because I like it there because his bishop cannot attack my knight or control the diagonal. So now I attack his rook on the diagonal, thinking this bishop is going to control all these squares, and also it can combine with the rook. So he has to get out of the way, and it looks like an okay move. Like his rook gets into the game, but this bishop is just a killer here. Controls every single square basically. And now I play bishop attacks queen, and the idea of this is if the queen goes back, for example, like cowers on c8, I can play the move c5. That was my idea. And then my pawn and bishop will protect each other, and my rook backs it up, and I'll just base my entire position on having more space than him and fighting for this square, and just let the bishop sit here and dominate his whole position and rooks. But he plays here, which is a good move. Doesn't attack my knight because it's defended by the queen. Doesn't attack my pawn because it's defended by the pawn. That's why it's important to have everything defended. So when you attack a queen and it moves, you don't have to react to where it moves. So here I just choose to attack it again because I'm like, my position's so good, I can just attack it again, and bishop defends the pawn. And maybe he'll blunder, right? So then he goes here, and he's pinning my knight to my queen. My queen is defended twice, so I can move the knight, but I don't want to because I want my queen to do something before she dies, okay? So now in this position, I'm thinking, how do I attack this queen? So I play b5, and that discovered attacks the bishop. And again, the queen can't take the pawn, can't take the knight, can't take the bishop because all my pieces are coordinated. So, and he can't go here. He could go queen b7. But then I was going to play rook b1, protected by the other rook, and he never can take my knight because the queen defends it. That's what holds my position together. And so queen b2, queen b2 is met by rook b1. So he finds this move, which I didn't see at all because it's walking into a pin, and now suddenly his rook is in the game, his knight's in the game, and he has equalized, and I have better chances just because my bishop is attacking his queen in the position. So if this knight ever moves, I win his queen. So in this position, what do I do? Oh, okay. In this position, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's a pinned piece, so I can play queen to e3, and that will attack the pinned piece. And if he tries to defend it with b6, I can take a free pawn and then march it forward and get a queen maybe. So I want that move, so I play here. And he plays rook takes bishop. Now, there's a lot of pressure on my pawn on e4, and he's thinking he wants to use his knights to attack this pawn because if I ever try to take it with the knight, he can play queen takes queen and get out of his pin. Also, if I take with the queen, the other knight would get me. But he has a move here, and his logic was, I'll take the bishop. I'm like, okay, that's a concession. I caught him in a pin, and now I win the exchange. And then he plays that, which is a blunder. It's a blunder because my queen is defended, so I can just play knight takes, and when he takes my queen, if I take back, hold on. If I take back, he would take me, and then I would play this move, and then this pawn is hit twice, and this pawn is also hit. So if he defends this, I take this. So this is winning for white slightly. And that's what I saw, and that's what I planned on going into. But then once I got there, I realized I don't have to take the queen. My knight is going to be taken next move. So first I take the knight with check, and then when he takes, then I take the queen. Now I have a double attack on this bishop. He has to move the bishop. I forget where he put it. He puts it here to attack this pawn, and I just defend the pawn, and then he attacks my rook, and we'll see where the game goes. But I want to show you where I made a mistake. I'll turn on Stockfish. In this position, if he takes with this knight, I'm in trouble, because if I take back, he takes my queen, and I have to take the queen back because I can't take the knight with check because he took with that knight first, and then he takes here, and then I guess it's saying that's my best move. So the point is, he wins a pawn in that situation. I wonder if he takes with this one. Oh yeah, he can't take with that one because the pin. But he should take with this one because I can't take with queen because he would take, and then the knight falls. And if I take with the knight, he just throws in the in-between move and then wins the knight. Because the queen cannot defend this square because it's being taken. So he wins like a pawn there, a really important pawn. So my decision here to pin the knight to the queen was enough to cause him to give up, basically. But if he had just seen this tactical shot, then he could have beaten me. But instead he takes, I take, and now computer's saying that was a good exchange, you got out of the pin, now get your knight out of the attack. But instead he tries to go in for this, thinking that it's working, I guess, but it just wasn't. And I just take that, and then it's just really easy from here. But the instructive thing here is once the game's over, like he's being attacked twice, he moves here. I was thinking pawn takes, but that would allow bishop takes with check. And I was like, I'm not going to allow him anything. There's no reason to give him anything. And then when he attacks my rook, I just move it. And then he attacks my... And I just played very precisely here. Like, if I take the pawn, anything's winning. It doesn't really matter to analyze. But I did play very precisely. And then, like here, I knew he was going to use his bishop and pawn to attack this piece. And I cannot defend it because... I can't take because the pin, and I can't bring another defender because the bishop will just take. So in this position, I've won so much over here that I just hide and let myself get checked. Hide again, and then play the bishop to here, threatening to play bishop check or skewering the rook. And then he plays this move, blocking out the bishop, which I didn't see. But this move is supported by the rook, and the rook has too many responsibilities. So I just play pawn threatening to queen with checkmate. So he tries to stop checkmate, and now my bishop can take this pawn that he was supporting, and now the rook is hit, and he resigned here. But interesting game. He almost had me. So you'll see, computer did like this plan. But I just thought this was good too, because in a practical game, this pin is so strong, because he blunders immediately, like with the pressure, and now it even wants me to castle that way. But rook here is the same idea, and then bishop back, castle. See here, it wants my bishop to develop here. But once I play b3, it admits, okay, yeah, going this way is pretty cool. So then I go that way, and then I come in here, and this bishop plays an important role in harassing the queen into a blunder. Sometimes to win at this level, all you need to do is, like, even though my move queen e3 is a blunder to this tactical shot, and computer's saying I should play rook here to break this pin, and then, but another interesting thing. Oh, my point was, this move won the game, queen e3, even though it's an inaccuracy. It made him just give up the rook, and I'm not gonna lose if I have two rooks and you have one. Okay, but then interesting here is when I attack the queen and he goes here, instead of playing b4 and allowing the knight in and that complication on e4, best for what by the computer was just rook here with the idea of rook up. So if he plays like that, I just hit him with the rook. And then when he retreats, I can take, and this is everything I wanted. All I wanted was to have this bishop here with a pawn defending it, because I know that's just going to cramp his position. So it's saying uncramp, and then, but then my knight gets in, and even if he takes, I just take back. And what if he plays queen takes? And then I just harass him. What if he takes that? Oh, yeah, the queen and the... Okay. So, anyway, we'll see it how I did it one more time. I really only made one bad move, but it was a bad move with a threat that he didn't see how to untangle. So he gives me the exchange and then just blunders. If he goes here, I guess I just go back. I don't know. Weird game. Anyway. But this move is a killer. So once I... 99% of chess players play... Well, 80, I don't know how many percent. But a lot of people would take the queen. But I saw that my knight gets lost if I take the queen. So I can throw in this move. And then I take the queen. And now I'm just up a full rook and the game's over. He should have resigned right then. But thank you for watching, and now you can see that I have returned to 2000, and I guess I'll update you when I hit 1800 Blitz. I've already hit it before, but I do like the idea of being 100 apart on each ranking. Okay, alright, thank you very much. Alright, audio.